Hi everybody. Today we're going to look at some examples for solving a system of equations by substitution. Our first system is 2x plus y equals 11 and y is equal to x minus 7. Step 1. Solve one equation for one variable. The nice thing is we already have y by itself. Y is isolated, so that step is taken care of in the problem. So since my y is equal to x minus 7, step 2 is to substitute the expression into the other equation. And I do want to emphasize this word other. If you plug it into the same equation, you're going to go round and round in circles. So I'm going to take my expression x minus 7 and I'm going to plug it into the other equation. So everything in my other equation stays the same. And then instead of writing y, I'm going to write what y is equal to, and it is equal to x minus 7. One little check I like to do. Do I have one variable or two variables? If I have two variables, that's a clue that I've done something wrong and I need to go back and try that step again. The only variable I have is x, so I'm going to keep on going. I need to solve this equation. So I see that I have like terms. I have a 2x and a 1x, and when I combine those, I get 3x. And to get x by itself, I can add 7 to both sides. My 3x is equal to 18. Divide each side by 3, and my x is equal to 6. Now I'm not done after I found the value of one variable. My equation has two variables, so I have to go back and find the other variable. So now I'm going to solve for y. It doesn't matter what equation I use to solve for y, and I always try to look for the easiest one. And to me, since this already says y equals, I'm going to say that is the easier one. Here, my x is equal to 6. So where I see an x in this equation, I'm going to replace it with a 6, and everything else is going to stay the same. So my y is equal to 6 minus 7, which is a negative 1. You can write your answer like this, where you box each of those values, or you can write it as an ordered pair, 6 comma negative 1. That's a different way to write your answer. Here's our next example. We have 4x minus 2y is equal to 20, and x is equal to 2y plus 8. So solve one equation for one variable. It doesn't have to be y equals. In this equation I have an x equals, so since one of my variables is by itself, I'm good to go. And so since my x is equal to 2y plus 8, I'm going to replace this x with my expression 2y plus 8. And here I have 4x, which means 4 times x. So I need to keep the 4 on the outside. And now to represent multiplication, I'm going to use parentheses. And instead of writing x, I'm writing 2y plus 8. Everything else stays the same, so I have minus 2y is equal to 20. Now that I have these parentheses, I need to distribute. So I have 4 times 2y, which is 8y, and I have a positive 4 times a positive 8, which is a positive 32. And I'm going to subtract my 2y and equal to 20. Solving this equation, I need to combine my like terms. I'm going to go ahead and rearrange everything to put my y's together. So I have an 8y minus 2y plus 32 is equal to 20. And 8y minus 2y is 6y, plus 32 is equal to 20. Subtract 32 from both sides. So my 6y is equal to negative 12 divided by 6. My y is equal to negative 2. Not done, because I need to find my other variable. And so here we're going to go back and solve for x, because we already have our y, and now we need to go back and solve for x. So here my y is equal to negative 2, And I like this equation, x equals 2y plus 8, because it already says x equals. And so where I see a y, I'm going to replace that with a negative 2. So my x is equal to 2 and times negative 2 plus 8. And then order of operations, I need to multiply, so that is a negative 4 plus 8. And so my x is equal to 4. If you want to write this as an unordered pair, you would say it is 4 and negative 2, because just remember x always comes before our y. In this example, I don't have it as easy as I did in those other two, because I don't have an equation that's either x equals or y equals. So the first thing I need to do is isolate for a variable. In this type of equations, you just need to put in a little practice to figure out which one I want to isolate. The easiest variables to isolate are ones where we just have one of that variable. So I have a 1x or a 1y. So I have many, many options for isolating here. A lot of students like to isolate y. So in this one, we can just subtract x from both sides. And then x minus x is 0, and then I have y is equal to 3 minus x. Those are not like terms, so I can't combine them. All right, so I have 2x plus y is equal to 1, and then I can just write this over here, y is equal to 3 minus x. So I like this highlighting deal, so y is equal to 3 minus x, so I'm going to plug that in for y in my other equation. So I'm going to have 2, wrong tool. So I'm going to have 2x plus y, and instead of writing y, I'm going to write 3 minus x, and that is equal to 1. I'm going to go ahead and rearrange again. Plus 3 is equal to 1. Notice that this minus x, you can also think about that as a negative x, and that negative sign needs to stay with the x. And so I have 2x minus 3x, which is 1x, plus 3 is equal to 1, and then I can subtract 3 from both sides. And you can either write 1x or you can just write x, and then 1 minus 3 is a negative 2. And our last step is to solve for y. It doesn't matter which equation I use, but I want to use one of the original equations. So I'm going to use x plus y equals 3, since that one seems like an easier one to solve. And then my x is a negative 2, so I'm going to plug that in for x. So I have negative 2 plus y is equal to 3. And in order to get my y by itself, I have to use inverse operation, so I'm going to add 2 to both sides. And negative 2 plus 2 is a 0, so that zeroes out, and I have my y is equal to 5. We haven't done any checking on these yet, so let's go through and do a quick check. So when I'm checking, I need to make sure that my answer makes both equations true. And so I'm going to take this answer and plug it into the first equation. So I have x plus y is equal to 3. My x is negative 2, and a negative 2 plus 5 is equal to 3. That one works out. My second equation is 2x plus y is equal to 1. So I have 2 times negative 2 plus 5 is equal to 1. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4 plus 5, and that is indeed 1. So this answer checks out. Thanks everyone for watching, and don't forget to send your teacher a message if you have any questions.